Hello again. Welcome to another Fresh from the Theater vlog. Today's movie that I just saw was Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And I saw the trailers for this movie from some of the movies I've seen so far this year, and made it look like it'd be worth seeing. And I saw Jurassic World, and not going into a full review on that movie, but I liked it. I enjoyed it very much. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was terrible either. Basically, Jurassic World was a action movie just full of great, awesome sequences with the dinosaurs, the humans, and had great action scenes, but not the best character development. The thing it suffered from most was the writing. But overall I liked it, and it had one of the best kick-ass fights between dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park franchise, and the way it ended made me hyped to see this movie. And what did I think of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom? I really, I went in not expecting it to be great. I didn't go in expecting it to be terrible, because the trailers looked pretty good, so could have gone either way. And this movie, this is one of the just worst sequels I have ever seen to a beloved franchise, a beloved movie. And I watched it, and it had a few problems in the beginning, but I thought maybe I'll get into it more as it goes on, which kind of happened with Jurassic World. Had a few flaws, but overall the good parts, and there were many, made up for whatever bad there was. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I can honestly say, having just seen it, I hated this movie. This film is one of the worst films I've seen in a long time, and I normally don't get that angry when I do a review, whether it be for the JMC reviews or just from these Fresh Thoughts vlogs, but I make no promises here. I was watching this movie, I sat through the whole thing, and I heard there was a post-credit scene, so I even stuck for that. But this movie actually pissed me off while watching it, and it's hard to know where to begin. Just a common thing that people thought Fallen Kingdom was going to be was a retread of The Lost World Jurassic Park from 1997, and yeah, a lot of it was, except even worse. This movie made The Lost World look almost decent, and as a little kid I liked The Lost World, but as I grew up I came to realize, at least until this movie came out, that The Lost World was probably the worst of the Jurassic Park movies, for a big reason. It pushed this weird message of dinosaurs being mistreated, dinosaurs deserving to live in peace. It had a very animal rights message type feel to it that just felt like complete bullshit. And they do the same thing here, except even harder. They shove it even worse. And when that stuff came in for the first time in this movie, all I could think was back to what happened in the first Jurassic World, where the tourists were being picked up and killed by all the dinosaurs running for their lives. And they mentioned in a line of dialogue that the company that now owns Jurassic World had to pay like $800 million in damages and just settlements to survivors, families of people who died. And then we cut to Congress, I think, where we see protesters holding signs saying they have rights too, they deserve rights. And I just, in my head I'm like, why would anybody push for these monsters' rights after what happened in the last movie? It was retarded in The Lost World, and it's even more retarded here to levels I didn't think were possible. Just gonna say it. The dinosaurs, the subject of them having rights shouldn't even be giving the light of day. They are the monsters, they are the villains, technically, of these movies, and I feel like the movie should be about the humans and the dinosaurs, like the humans trying to survive, the dinosaurs trying to kill them, fighting the dinosaurs. That should be, when we come down to it, just the main gist of these movies. And the way people go about trying to advocate for the dinosaurs, just, I felt dumber after watching these movies, and I'm trying to articulate the best way I can just how unbelievably moronic this was. Even though there a lot, and believe it or not, actually worse stuff comes in as the film goes on, and it just, that stuff in the beginning just hurt me. It just hurt my head so bad, but I did not give up right away. I kept thinking maybe it'll get better as it goes on. Maybe. The characters from the first film are back. We have Bryce Dallas Howard as Claire. We have Chris Pratt as Owen, and I don't know what went wrong. I mean, yes, the character development was not the best in the first Jurassic World, but Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, they're good actors, and they really worked with what they had on that film, and even then they had a few well-done scenes. And Chris Pratt, like, he's very charming and very sexy, and so is Bryce Dallas Howard, and she can have some cool attitude to her, but these characters, they don't even feel really much like the characters from the first film, particularly Claire. Like, I know it's been a few years and people can change in a few years, but her character almost feels completely different from how she was in the first movie. In the first film, she was all business type and a bit of a tight ass, and she could have her tough moments. And at the end of the film, I know she kind of learned to have a better emotional connection to some people, but they really made her a little too emotional in this film. Like, she went from a businesswoman to being a dinosaur rights activist, and she's the kind of activist that just makes you want to smash her head into the wall, just with how much she pushes it, how much she blindly believes in what she's fighting for. And I already said it, I don't want to repeat myself 100 times, but this whole fighting for the dinosaur rights shit, it is fucking stupid. It doesn't, I feel like in the real, who knows, things are so crazy right now, maybe there actually would be people like this if dinosaurs existed, but it just feels like, what sane thinking person would make this a priority? The first priority should be contain the dinosaurs and, if necessary, kill them all. Anyway, there's a volcano erupting on the island where the Jurassic World Park, which is now abandoned, is, and Claire and the people she's gathered with her, people, Congress, are fighting to get the dinosaurs back, like, get them off the island to save them, and they ask her, like, apparently John Hammond had a partner back when he started Jurassic Park, who's played by James Cromwell, And he is the first of many great actors completely wasted in this film. He asks her to go, and his right-hand man asked her to bring Owen along, and apparently they got together again after the first film and then broke up again. And the scene where they talk about how they broke up is just... I couldn't even look. When I was in the theater watching, I had to look down. It was just embarrassing, the dialogue and the acting between these two. And it felt like... Okay, this feels like an action movie first, like that was the first thing on the writers' minds, and when it came to writing characters and the scenes where they talk, they just wrote whatever they could think of, and this feels like it was desperate writing, like they had no idea what to do with these characters, and after the weird and awkward "you must come" stuff, they go to the island, bring with them the new dino activist right characters, and oh my fucking god. Julianne Moore no longer has to live with having played the most annoying character in the Jurassic Park franchise. These two much younger people they bring in, Zia Rodriguez, played by Daniela Pineda, and Franklin Webb, played by Justice Smith. Okay, the Zia character, she's pretty much, when you come down to it, just a fucking bitch with a very unpleasant attitude towards the villainous characters and even towards the characters she's friends with, and she just looks ridiculous. I kept looking at her and I'm like, Hot Topic much? And the thing both of these characters suffer from is they just look like babies compared to the other main characters. I know they're adults, but looking at them compared to everybody else, all I can think is, who brought in the high school students? But even then, well, her character is just annoying and just unpleasant to watch. Justice Smith's character, Franklin, oh my god, he is one of the most annoying, insufferable, pathetic, whiny characters I have seen in a long time. Every scene he's in, he's either whining, complaining, screaming. When they go to the island, all he does is ask about how safe they're going to be, and he's so rigid and scared, and he's even spraying himself with bug spray, afraid of he's afraid of bugs. To which I'm like, why did he even come if he was going to be so... Whatever he does, they could have done with a much better character, and I don't get this with some movies. Why would someone create a character who is so annoying and unpleasant to watch and not have them fucking die? I kept hoping this guy would die. I kept hoping they both would, but mostly him. He was just unbelievably dinosaur meal worthy, and he fucking survives. While they're on the island getting some of the dinosaurs, under the guise of they're there to save them, it turns out the mercenaries, I think they're mercenaries who come in to help them get the more dangerous dinosaurs. Turns out the person they're working for, this guy named Eli Mills, played by Rafi Spall, who works for James Cromwell. Turns out he's not planning to save and preserve the dinosaurs. He wants to... And this makes Vincent D'Onofrio's character and his plan from the first Jurassic World actually seem well written in comparison. And I know that part of the film was what turned a lot of people off, including my best friend. But I would have that over what they're doing in this movie. They kidnap all the dinosaurs from Isla Nuba or Isla Sorna. I can't remember at the moment. I'm sorry. But they take them and they actually leave Owen and Claire and I don't even care to remember his name at this point behind. And, well, luckily they sneak on board the boat as they're leaving the volcanic island. And what is Eli? Yeah, our villain's name is Eli. What is his plan? He's going to auction off all of these extremely dangerous and hard to control dinosaurs to, I don't know, rich men and women who want a big pet, or terrorists, maybe. It's never clear. It could be. I'm not sure. It was a little hard to follow at that point in the film. But yeah, they're going to auction off the dinosaurs to the highest bidder to use with whatever they please for, I don't know, taking over their land. It may sound like a dumb description, but that's what it is. And the auction scene, and I know maybe it sounds like I might be going into spoiler territory, but there really is no point in trying to hide anything. You could know this from the beginning, and I'm not really sure it would mean anything. I mean, yeah, it's giving away the twists, but the twists are so stupid. Just finding out on your own is hard enough. Knowing ahead of time, I don't think it's going to matter. But yeah, the auction scene, I was stunned watching this. Every time the guy in charge of the auction, who apparently does it for a living, auctioning stuff, played by a wasted actor number 800, Toby Jones. He's auctioning him off, calling, going once, going twice. Do I hear 5 million? Do I hear 9 million? I said this movie pissed me off. At this point, I was just seething, and I almost wanted to cry. This movie pissed me off so much. And towards the end, I was just bored. Like, this movie's about 2 hours and 10 minutes according to IMDb. It felt like 3.5 probably. And that's when you know a movie's bad, when it feels several times longer than it actually is. And the only reason I almost felt like getting up and walking out of this film. The only reason I didn't fucking do that is because I'm one of those people who just feels like, you know, if it was bad, I will sit through it to the very fucking end. But this is one of the few movies, this is the second movie in my whole life I have ever considered getting up and walking out of when I'm seeing it in the theater. And by the end, I felt just sad. Like, there was so much potential to take it after the ending of the last movie, and well, the last movie wasn't perfect. It was still a kick-ass ride of a film, and the good outweighed the fucking bad. There was so little good in this film. The few moments I could count that were good were barely amount to a minute most times, and by the end I felt just like I just sat through a horrible, disappointing experience. I don't know what else to say other than a few things I took notes on, and I guess this is as good a time as any to roll my self-promoting commercial. So if you want a break from me complaining like about 90% of most movie reviewers here on YouTube, here you go.
the past couple of years I've been watching people on YouTube do review shows, where they give their thoughts as well as do a lot of comedy. People like the Nostalgia Critic, the Cinema Snob, the Blockbuster Buster, and so many fucking others. And like all these other movie reviewers, I've given myself a review nickname. It's something that I think will grab people's attention, will let you know immediately that I'm a movie guy. And it's a name I'm sure that no one else has thought of using. The Unusual Suspect. I don't want to sound too full of myself, but it just feels so great when you come up with something so original.
Babe, I think that there is something you should see.
So, if anybody's wondering, because I did mention there were a few tiny moments that I thought were okay. If anyone wants to know what they are, here we go. First off, one of the few good things happens at the very beginning, and this actually at first made me think there could be some good in store, was the reappearance of Jeff Goldblum as Dr. Ian Malcolm, and I knew going in that he was only in it briefly, and he only has 2 appearances, at the beginning and at the end, and honestly you could have cut them out completely and it wouldn't have had any impact on what happens, but it was nice to see him, and for what he was given, Jeff Goldblum came out looking pretty good. All it does is make me miss the original cast, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and who knows? Maybe even with a shitty script, having Sam Neill could help it. I know he's old now, but Sam Neill's awesome, and even in a dumb movie like Jurassic Park 3, he was great, and Jeff Goldblum, he was cool. It was the character we knew and loved from Jurassic Park. And the only other character returning who I felt wasn't fucked up was, funny enough, one of the dinosaurs. The only surviving raptor from Owen's Raptor Pack, Blue, was back, and Blue was awesome. There was a reason Blue survived in the first film and helped the T-Rex take down the Adonis Rex. The scenes between Blue and Owen are some of the only scenes that actually made me feel something, because I like their rapport, their connection in the first film, and I feel like okay, here's what I think this movie should have been, if anyone's interested. Dinosaurs from Jurassic World escape the island and come to the mainland, and it's about all of the characters from the last film, the army, whatever group comes in, trying to fight them off and survive. I feel like that would have been awesome. But no. And there were a few cool death scenes, particularly Toby Jones's death scene. It was not very graphic, but it was well shot, well edited, and the first guy to get killed by the T-Rex in this film, as he's trying to get on a helicopter, that was cool. Claire and Owen, their relationship was just unfocused, uneven, but there were one or two scenes, particularly the scene where they fall asleep on each other. One wakes up and then pretends to be asleep, the other wakes up, and I thought it was cute. But that was it. And there are scenes with Owen and other characters watching old videos he did training the raptor pack when they were just babies, and that was kind of cool. It was a little touching to watch. I like those brief moments. Last good scene I'll save for the end. Now, just so I can get everything I forgot to mention off, here are some of the other things I really fucking didn't care for. The fact that this series still has human villains in it. In The Lost World, we had the people who bought InGen from John Hammond. In the last film, we had Vincent D'Onofrio as Vic Hoskins, I think. Just, there doesn't need to be any human villains in these movies. The dinosaurs should be the villains. No questions asked. That should be it. Humans trying to survive and fighting against the dinosaurs. That's it. That should be it. And the fact that we have this whole auction shit, selling them to people who want to weaponize them like D'Onofrio did. Although, seeing dinosaurs being used as weapons... Oh, well, stupid sounds like the type of drive-in type movie that you would love to see maybe in the 70s. But just the whole auctioning off, selling them, like having the humans be evil, just... I don't know what to say. It annoyed me. All I could think was just how pointless it was, and while I've said this movie feels like it was an action movie first in the minds of the writers, there just wasn't enough cool action. Like, the last movie had some pretty grand scale sequences, including its awesome finale. There isn't as much here, and also, I feel like this film didn't have much location. We have two main locations in this movie. The island, and even then we don't see much of the island. With the exception of the scene where the volcano is erupting and the dinosaurs and Owen, Claire, and Franklin are running for their lives, nothing on the island was really utilized that well, and the second location that takes up pretty much the second half, maybe even more than the second half of the film, is the mansion of James Cromwell's character and the basement where they keep the dinosaurs. That's it. The whole second half just takes place at a rich guy's mansion where the dinosaurs are contained pretty much and then get loose in the hallways. And after all the landscape we saw in the last movie, where it was all over the island, all these cool sequences, it just felt lame. Just L-A-M-E, all capitals, boring, pathetic. That is all I can say. And I actually was yawning near the end of this movie, and one character who I haven't mentioned yet that is not as bad as Franklin and Zia, but still pretty bad, is this little girl named Macy Lockwood, who is supposed to be James Cromwell's granddaughter, played by Isabella Sermon. I think this series, next to having to outgrow needing human villains, also needs to ditch having all these little kid characters. I mean, the only cool kid characters, and even then they were still kind of whiny, but they felt real, were the grandkids in the first Jurassic Park and the kid that was surviving on his own in the third movie. He was kind of cool, but just the nephews in the last film, this little brat, just... They are mostly annoying. They don't have a ton to offer. And this little girl, all she does is... She either is crying or gasping in fear. And I know everybody would be like, oh, it'll be so bad if the kid dies. I would be totally fine with this kid dying. She was just annoying, and there's this weird twist where Eli the Villain, I think this is what he says. He implies that James Cromwell's actual daughter, the girl's supposed mother, the girl has been told her mom died years ago, but they're now, in the end, we get this weird thing where they say that next to bringing dinosaurs back, Cromwell made a genetic clone of his dead daughter, and the granddaughter's, a clone of his daughter, so she actually is his daughter. I'm like, huh? Okay, having the raptors being trained or wanting them to be used as weapons against terrorists was dumb enough, but this series, I think they've jumped the dino shark. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but this just feels like an awful level of storytelling that these movies just don't need. And the film ends with the dinosaurs' containment area getting filled with some kind of toxic gas, and Claire, once again, now all about saving the dinos, wants to release them. But by doing that, she will let them loose into the general public. And I was holding what was left of my popcorn bag and my drink cup, and I was just crushing it, being like, do not do this. And for a moment, it felt like this movie might have redeemed itself when she didn't push the button, even if she was still having tears. But then, the dinosaurs get out. We turn back and we see Macy let them out. And she's like, I had to save them. And I'm like, okay, I beg, if anybody who works in these movies ever gets the chance to see this, do not bring this kid back. And if you do, kill her off. Fast. You don't have to go too graphic on the death, but this movie, this is how bad it is. It's making me wish for the death of a little kid. Just, when she did that, I'm like, no, no, no. I hate it when movies do this. When they have a character do something unbelievably stupid that's supposed to be seen as doing the right thing, but it's not. It's going to lead to a lot more havoc. And we see dinosaurs going all over the country, going through the ocean, and people saying, Jeff Goldblum, he still sounds great, but in this badly written speech saying we have to learn to adapt to them. We see all these dinosaurs, I'm like, people are going to die. So many people are going to die, live in fear. And these people who acted like we can't let people who grew up in a world of dinosaurs lose them again. It's all your goddamn faults. It's all your faults. Everything that's going to happen is going to be horrible, and you are all to fucking blame. I don't like losing my cool, but I hated this movie. This is one of the worst films I have seen in a long time. And if anybody, because I know the consensus is it's not getting good reviews, but I do know there are some people who liked it, and despite my thoughts, I say you have the right to like what you like, and if you like this movie, good for you. I'm glad you had a good experience, but I didn't. I just didn't, and despite it all, I'm not giving up on this franchise. I feel things could still be salvaged. If they, even as two-dimensional as it sounds, just having it be about the humans fighting the dinosaurs, trying to stay alive, I feel like that could be a great, just kick-ass adventure story for a movie. And the post-credit scene actually was, despite all the boring, infuriating stuff, pretty decent. We see pterodactyls land in Las Vegas. So you know what? I will see the next film if there is one, and don't want to get my hopes up too much, but who knows? Maybe they'll jump back like the third movie. Dumb, but fun, and feels kind of like a drive-in experience almost. Hope anyone who sat through this whole thing found what I had to say interesting. This is all just what I think. If you want to go see it, fine. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want to, go ahead, and if you liked it, as I said, glad at least you enjoyed it. And Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly, I'm not sure that they should come back. J.A. Bayona, not sure I pronounced that right, but he directed this movie, and I'm not sure who should be brought on, but he's somebody who knows what would make a great dinosaur movie. Someone who understands what made the original movie so fantastic. Well, that's it. This has been another Fresh from the Theater vlog, and as always, see you next time.